All good. Call to order the regular council meeting for the town of Evansville. May I have roll call, please?
Mayor Chad Edwards.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Cannell.
Here.
Councilmember Candace Machado. Here. Councilmember Michael Scott.
Here.
Councilmember Kathy Steifa asked to be excused tonight. Town Attorney Scott Murray.
Here.
Town Engineer Shane Porter.
Here.
Town Planner Scott Radden.
Here.
Town Treasurer Lexi Erickson asked to be excused tonight. Chief of Police Mike Thompson.
Here.
Fire Chief Leo Balsam.
Here.
Public Works Director Paul Hansen.
Here.
Town Clerk Janelle Underwood and licensed citizens.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 1, the consent agenda. Approval of the regular meeting minutes for April 26, 2021, and work session for April 28, 2021. Ratify the Oil City Beer Company malt and beverage permit, and approval of the bills. Motion to approve consent agenda.
Motion that.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 2, Joe Gunderson. I'd like to speak to us about the 2021 summer basketball camp. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for giving me the opportunity. Do I need speaking of this bad boy? Okay. So yeah, I'm a social worker in Casper. I was born in Casper. I've lived in Evansville since May of 2016. And so what I'm wanting to do, I'm looking for a parade permit to put on a free basketball camp for Evansville youth, specifically kids K through 8. The only requirements that they would need is an Evansville address, and they'd need to sign the permission slips as well, of course, and being K through 8. So my plan would be to put up flyers around Joe Stone King Park, where I would plan on holding the basketball camp, and try to target that area because there's only room for about 18 kids at the camp. I struck up a partnership with Baden Sports, and they have agreed to be my partner in this. And so I've purchased 36 basketballs, 18 of which we plan to give away at the camp to the kids. The other 18 basketballs, I was hoping to ask about another permit in August for a fundraiser for Casper Police Department's Officer Dunnick's son, Sammy. You may know he is diagnosed with a neurodegenerative brain disorder. So the plan would be to have a 3-point contest at that park. And that would be more of a macro type thing. We'd be asking people from anywhere, anybody who pays the entry fee, excuse me, which would actually go directly towards Mass General. I wouldn't be responsible for those funds whatsoever. They'd contact me. I'd send them a link to the Mass General page, which is a hospital that does the testing on kids like Sammy. So yeah, I'm actually here requesting 2 different permits, one for July 10th and 11th for the free basketball camp, and then another permit for August 14th and 15th for a 3-point contest. The first one would just be for Evansville. Like I said, I live in Evansville, and I think my community is like pretty special, and I don't always see the most glowing stories coming out of Evansville. And so I'd hope to at least change that a little bit. I have an interview with Brendan LaChance at Oil City News tomorrow to kind of fill him in about this meeting and about the possibility of these things really happening. So hopefully it would be able to work out. I know it's kind of a lot of information. Do you have any questions?
Are you looking to close off a section of the street over there?
Well, at Joe Stone King Park, so for the basketball camp, I don't think we'd necessarily need to close off any part of the park. I'd be able to tape off some lines because, as you guys probably know, it's kind of a blank slate. So I'd use tape and spray chalk. It looks like spray paint, but it washes away with about 1.5 rains. So yeah, that would be the plan for the camp. But for the other event, the 3-point contest, it would draw more people. So it's likely that there'd be a lot more cars there. I don't know that we'd have to close it off necessarily. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking with that.
So the first one is free,
Correct.
and the plan is to, how would you be advertising that?
Great question. So one of my questions that I have written down actually is about if there's any legal issues as far as putting up flyers with the poster on it, my name and number. I have a couple extra printed out. It would look basically like this with my name and number, like tags on the bottom, kind of with my name and number. So I was hoping to put those on the wooden light posts that surround that neighborhood, and hopefully be able to get quite a few people. I thought with only having 18 spots, one of them, which is already filled with my son, my 7-year-old son, so 17 spots. I thought they might fill up pretty fast. There might be one family that has 4 or 5 kids sign up. I don't know. So if it doesn't fill up as fast as I had hoped, if I'm able to get the permit for August to do the fundraiser, Sammy's parents have a number of interviews with K2 lined up. I know K2 is really interested in Sammy's story. Oil City News will also publish this if we can get it approved. So advertising would, for the first one, I would try to keep it pretty local around the park and in this neighborhood. Because I would really want to make sure to give the kids in this neighborhood the best opportunity to come to the camp. They might have to walk to camp. I don't know for sure, but I was hoping to get as many kids in this neighborhood as possible.
So you'd be focusing specifically on the kids in Evansville?
Yes, ma'am. Yep. One of the requirements for the camp is that they have an Evansville address, because I'd send them this permission slip, couple papers in there, that they would either need to return to me before camp or the day of the camp before they participate. So I would know that they live in Evansville by their Evansville address.
And would you be the only adult?
No, nope. Great question. Yeah, really good question. No, I have 2 male assistant coaches. Both are very knowledgeable, reputable. They both worked at Sheet Metal Specialties, for one of them for almost 12 years. So he's a really reliable gentleman. And then I have 2 ladies who have agreed to work desk duty and make sure all the kids have their paperwork filled out. And then my 10-year-old daughter is going to help coach as well. So essentially I have 3 assistant coaches, 2 of which are grown men. So I think we would be able to divide it up pretty well. There's 4 hoops at that court. So the first day would be mainly drills. The second day we'd get into more fun 5-on-5, and I would actually hold a mini 3-point contest for those guys too, but that's not something that's not related to the other 3-point contest in August.
And so the 3-point contest in August is there's going to be an entry fee.
Yes, ma'am. It would be a $20 entry fee, and I have numbers, room, and time for 50 teams of 3. So it's not your conventional 3-point contest, as you would need a team of 3 to enter. You'd be entered into a group, either group A, B, C, D, or E. If your team, your collective score wins that group, you'd move on to the elimination stage. where you and your two teammates would kind of shoot against each other. The highest score, the highest individual score would then move on to the championship stage. So you have the highest scoring shooter from groups A through E in the championship shootout, could say. And that'd be Sunday evening, the championship, because the group stage would take most of Saturday to do approximately 10 hours.
So let's say, for instance, a child who maybe wasn't able to pay that $20
Mhm.
entry fee
Yes.
for one reason or the other, would there be scholarships available for those children who maybe do want to attend that don't have the means to do so?
So the camp for kids in August, that would be free. That there's no entry fee for that. For the fundraiser, that would be purely their own money. They would have to pay directly towards Mass General. So I don't have any scholarships for that one, but the camp in July would be free for the kiddos, and they get a free basketball.
And the adults that are going to be coaching the children, are they going to be CPR and first aid certified or trained?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm a social worker at Mercer, so they have us do that stuff before we can do any group work. But no, I don't believe the other two are. I'd have to check, but I don't think they are. One of the ladies that's helping is a school teacher, so she may have CPR training.
Questions?
I can get all the questions today.
You did. You
I have a couple little inquiries. If I was allowed the permit for the free camp, would a gas grill or a meat smoker be allowed at the camp? Because the second day, I have some volunteers that want to come cook hot dogs, have a little barbecue for the kids and their families. So I guess my question is, would it be legal to have the gas grill there at the park? Okay.
Parks.
Okay.
Gas grill is just fine.
All right. My mother was very concerned about that, so she made sure I'd ask. And I know there's often a porta potty at the park. Is there going to be a porta potty there this summer to everyone's knowledge? Oh, perfect. Lovely. And then I already inquired about the flyers on the street lamp posts, hoping that would be doable.
As far as advertising, I think putting on like the Evansville Facebook page or Baltimore post office, probably more.
The post office is a great idea. Yep, absolutely.
I'm not sure you can put them on the streetlights.
Okay.
You can't put garage sale signs or anything like that. on the lights, so
Gotcha. Very good.
this would be the same.
Okie doke. Okay, lovely. That would be perfect.
In general, Joe, I think an opportunity
Awesome.
to have an event here in town and
Yeah.
support kids.
For sure. Very cool.
Anybody have any other questions for Joe? We have a motion to approve the 2 permits for Joe for July 10th and 11th and August 14th and 15th in Stone King Park for his basketball camps.
Moved.
Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
All right.
Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate you.
Ew, that'll be awesome. Very excited about it.
Look forward to it. If you need any help or anything, please come back and let us know how it's going. All right, item number 3, Liz Becker with the City of Casper Community Development Department is here to give us an update on the transition over to the Casper Area Link in the Casper Assist Dial Ride program.
Very good. Mr. Mayor, members of council, today was the first day of Casper Area Transit, so you would have seen the bus cruising through Evansville. We did officially open on Saturday over at the main office there on 4th Street. And I reported previously to the Casper City Council, but we have 32 employees. I was able to retain 27 of the current employees that were with CATSI, and primarily in the drivers and the dispatchers. We picked up a couple of new supervisors and administrative assistants. We are actively getting all of our marketing collateral changed over to the new name, the new logo, and I would be happy to share. I don't know if you all have seen what the look of the vehicles are. Okay. So we have the fixed route as well as the dial-a-ride service, Casper Area Assist. We put together cards with the phone numbers, and I know we brought some over to Janelle to pass out, and we are getting them out to all of the we did this last week, all of the medical facilities, especially the oncology and the hospitals and the dialysis centers. We hit the senior center. We got these to the schools, the school district, and just getting out the word on what the new phone numbers are and that we are fully operational. I proposed a $3 million budget to the Casper City Council that includes Evansville. With that is some capital improvements that we're planning to make after July 1st. Most important, I think, and what we would also be doing with your Evansville bus is putting an air filtration system on it as part of our follow-up with some of the extra CARES Act funding that we had for the COVID. We were able to apply and get a grant to put these air filtration systems on. So that will continue through September 15th. All the buses are required drivers as well as riders have to mask up, and that is again through the Federal Transit Administration. So we are following that rule, and again, as of last week, that was extended through September 15th. So you will see that. We are enforcing that, and I think that's important to know because TSA oversees that, and there will be fines if riders or drivers are caught without wearing their masks during operating. So we keep an eye on that. Today was great. We're getting new dispatch software, and I think that's been profiled a little bit in the media. But our dispatchers, all of them were retained. And so that team is manually operating right now, but their knowledge of who the passengers are that need that extra assistance is amazing. When they pick up the phone and are talking to these people by their first name and recognizing their birthdays and asking how they're feeling and how's their pets and their family members. And that is just wonderful to hear. So I am working on site full time at the 4th Street office for the time being. I have another city team member that's overseeing all the federal grant components, and she is also on site full time. And then we are with the other 32 employees. So full house over there. The fleet is operational. I think we've got one vehicle currently being repaired, but we are in good shape with that. And we're going to start to get the fleet phased in with the new wraps. Friday night, we were duct taping over the names and the phone numbers and the websites, and that was all taken care of Friday evening. And did a whole bunch of office work on Saturday. So I think we're in great shape and kicked it off today. I was down there when the fleet rolled out at 6, and it's been a great day with all of them. So the employees have been in great spirits, and we're going to have team meetings throughout the week. So I would be happy to answer any questions you all have.
I just think it sounds like it's been going pretty smooth that first day, so thank you.
Of course, and we will continue to. Again, I mentioned the Capitol. We're looking at new radios. We are going to get 2 full-size buses at the end of the, into the next federal fiscal year, and then a couple of paratransit vans. And again, all this equipment is interchangeable. So if something were to happen with your vehicle, of course, we've got all this backup fleet. So I think our fleet is a lot newer than it has been in past years too. So.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that even with all these capital upgrades, that we're not anticipating any additional charges in the upcoming year.
Excellent question. I should have kicked off with that, Mr. Mayor. No, there are no planned increases in your budgetary costs. So we're good. We are watching this like a hawk. So everything is status quo.
And one other thing I know we had discussed in the past was for the Evansville bus, we own one of the buses,
Mhm.
and that we would have the opportunity to put our logo a little bigger and more prominent on that bus as it goes around.
We're planning on that. So we'd like to get it wrapped first and then you all can design away. So we have a new tagline on the side of the vehicles that says passengers are our passion and our purpose. But again, I fully anticipate if you all want to do something on the front or on the side too, absolutely. Okay.
In the people business would fit right along in that.
That would, I like that. So,
Is there any discussion, excuse me,
of course.
about potentially putting some sort of marketing spaces on there for people just to make some extra money as far as if somebody wanted to advertise on the side of the buses? I know the big cities do it all the time and it's
See Vegas a lot.
We are currently undergoing a federal audit, which is every 3 years, and that is actually on our question list to make sure we can do that. You all are familiar, a lot of them have that ARS on the side, but we are double checking all of that. It used to be very common in years past. It has not been occurring over the last few years. So we just need to make sure that our federal sponsors, our federal funding partners are okay with that.
Have anything else for Liz? Liz, thank you very much for coming and presenting to us.
Thank you all.
All right. Item 4, ordinance 3-2021, an ordinance amending the zoning regulations.
And I need a motion to remove this one.
Do I have a motion to bring this up from the table? Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor? All right, motion passes. Now, ordinance 3-2021.
Mr. Mayor, council brought before you tonight on second reading is an ordinance amending the zoning regulations. This was tabled at the March 22nd council meeting with some added language to the definitions, and town planner Scott Radden has done a lot of work on the ordinance, adding some additional language into this, and he's here tonight to.
not a lot of work, just a lot of things how to include this language. So it was a lot of stress. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So if you look on the ordinance 3-2021 under 4.1 general, we've added some language for the manufactured home, mobile home, and mobile home HUD certified. That's what has been modified. So with that being said, I'm not going to read it all because hopefully you had a chance to look at it, but the main sections that we discussed earlier to make sure that we're kind of covered on things, especially after speaking with Natrona County building inspectors, that it says all used manufactured homes proposed to be brought into the town must provide a compliance inspection letter from a certified inspector and must meet mobile and manufactured home standards, section 8A-C, et cetera, et cetera. What I was reading it earlier today and I was like, we probably need to go one step further and say chapter 7, design criteria and procedures, section 8, because they have a bunch of section 8s in different chapters. So probably need to be a little bit more specific after looking at it, just so it's called out. With that being said, this is that section 8. I think there are references. And so we're trying to stay on the same page with the Natrona County inspectors, because obviously since they're in town taking care of our stuff, we want to kind of stay on the same page so that they're used to doing these inspections. But it does in here call out, it says, look, if you're going to bring anything in town, it must meet these certain standards as called out in their section. Under mobile home, it also says mobile homes, if there's a mobile home, that are not HUD certified are not allowed in the town of Evansville. So if they're pre-1974, they don't meet the HUD standards. They don't have a certification that it is HUD certified. We're not allowing those in town. So I think back in the day when this was first came out in the original zoning ordinance, I mean, we were looking at that 20-year idea. Well, you might get an older home that they've really put a lot of money into it, and they're better shape than some of the manufactured homes that are 5 to 10 years old. So after speaking with the mayor, after speaking with the inspector, we're all under kind of that agreement to say, look, they got to be certified. They have to be inspected if they're used. If they're new, no, we're not going to require that. Obviously, if it's new, hopefully when it shows up on the property, the homeowner is going to, if he sees anything wrong with it, they're probably going to ask for that to get fixed. So, but we also have the mobile home HUD certified. So between the mobile home and saying that they're not allowed, if it's truly a mobile home, and then a mobile home HUD certified, you may have some prior to 1976, but they were certified by HUD. So there's a few maybe out there. Chances are we're not going to see those. They're just old and probably have not been kept up. So most of what we see nowadays are manufactured homes. They're HUD certified and they're probably within 20 years or so. So I think in the general section under the definitions, it's kind of until we were to add it in some other section, like in the building section or something, we can review that down the road maybe, and we might be able to put this information in there so we don't have to call it out here. But for right now, we need to have something in there just for the safety of the town and making sure we're covered. So that's what I did. I just kind of threw it in there. A lot of times we will throw something in the definitions because we open those up and it's like, okay, we can call it out as long as it's stated somewhere in the zoning ordinance, we should be good. So, and then we'll look at tiny homes down the road. But for now, we couldn't add that in because those are just different monsters, little monsters.
Well, I think one of the main reasons we tabled this last time was that whole inspection piece. And as we talked through that, just getting from a certified inspector, be it here or one of the things we looked at as well, if somebody's coming across country, having it inspected before they bring it across country and get here and say, oh, well, this doesn't meet standards. So,
and we did ask Justin, and he stated that to be certified inspector, you have to go through a certain training. So it sounds very similar across the states. So
any discussion on the zoning ordinance?
and we can add that chapter in pretty easy, just right prior to that section 8.
Do I have a motion approving the zoning amending the ordinance amending the zoning regulations, including the reference of chapter 8? Anyone? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Item 5, abatement of nuisance properties, 1030 5th Street, 1170 5th Street, 969 Park Lane, and 1029 Park Lane. Chief?
Mayor, council, evening. In front of you, you do have the court order. It was filed with our municipal court. These particular 4 properties, the owner was cited back in October 9th of 2020 to include the one on 5th Street, 1170. We actually went around on this property almost 2 summers ago. So it's been an extensive thing going on up and down through the courts. They've worked or attempted to work with him to clean up the junk bursts and some of the vehicle issues. And so with that court order being in front of you, I reached out to a couple of people for bids. Only one gave us a bid. And I had them give it per separate property, because if the owner does not reimburse the town, then the lien will be filed on each particular property. So when you look at those bids, they're for each property separately. So with that, I think you have some photos in front of you as well. You have photos? So, so I got for you unless you have questions.
Questions for the chief about these properties? I have a hard time speaking today.
These all owned by the same person, you said?
Correct.
You said you reached out for multiple bids, but only got one.
Yeah. I reached out to two different outfits. Only one of us gave us a bid back. I have been reaching out to the three, but the one is consistently twice the price as the two we've been using. So
What are the costs you receive?
well, I'll start 969 Park Lane. They're estimated at $2,550 to clean up that particular property. $2,550. On 1029 Park Lane, $2,370. On 1030 Fifth Street, $2,270. And on 1170 Fifth Street, $2,250. And these abatements are different from the last one where it was an actual structure. This is simply for junk debris and vehicle issues that fall within the town ordinance.
It's just over $9,000.
Correct. The 1170 Fifth Street was the first property that we tackled with this in particular landowner 2 summers ago, and I think we were in the court system 7, 8 months, 6 months. Scott, do you remember? Maybe longer. And only about half of it got addressed at that point. So we're readdressing that particular property, and the other 3 we tackled this year with our new code enforcement officer.
Any other discussion on abatement of these properties?
So that 1170, so that's in the alleyway right there, right?
The photo from, yeah, so it's looking in from the alley in the backyard, and the stuff is piled and it's deep all the way through the back. Excuse me. We tried to address that the first go around. We got the front parking area cleaned up, but we never did get the yard cleaned up in that particular go around. And it's quite a fire nuisance rodent infestation area.
Larger ones. So do we have a court order to clean up each one of these properties?
Yeah, it's one single court order.
That covers all 4 properties.
Correct. So when you see it, it'll just be one order. Shows who the defendant is, plaintiff, town of Evansville, talks about our town attorneys, and then on the first page, your first address is 1035th, talks about what they're abating, also shows the ordinance numbers in it. So on your second page will be the remaining 3 properties to again address each ordinance violation, the junk debris, et cetera. And then after that, it starts in your paragraph how the owners received notice of the above citations, attendance and hearing matters October 26, 2020. Since that date, the court has given the owner numerous extensions to address the above state nuisances, specifically to clean up junk and debris, and license, move, and recover vehicles. And so it kind of talks about that process. So, and then the court order, it says the court further orders or finds that as of March 8th, 2021, the owner failed to clean up the junk and debris on the property and has failed to properly register the vehicles. So as you go through, you can kind of read through there. And
So
then-
the court ordered the cleanup in October, and in March, when it wasn't sufficient to take care of the
October to mid-March, basically. And through bid process and photos were here today.
Questions? Chief? Do I have a motion to move forward with the abatement of these properties?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, motion passes. Item 6, COVID-19 operating plan for jury trials. Scott, you want to give us a little background on this?
So absolutely. Basically, what we're looking at here is a plan for jury trials taking into consideration COVID-19. What's proposed in front of the council tonight, I believe, is has been taken from what other courts in the state have used. I think that there's probably a couple areas that we could tweak a little bit more to meet the town's specific needs, given the space and everything else. There's a couple of the provisions within the proposed jury trial plan that I think contemplate larger courtrooms with more designated jury room spaces and things like that. So, but we wanted to get something before council for your consideration, so that we could hopefully get a plan in place as we have a jury trial scheduled for the end of this month. It's been probably decades, I think, since we've had a jury trial in the town. And we may not. It may still go away at this point, but we figured it'd be better to be safe than sorry and have some sort of plan/policy in place in order to, protect the community and protect the jurors, because it's a really important duty and service to the community, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure their safety and comfort in serving as jurors. So that's the basis for what you see in front of you tonight.
I know this is kind of little last minute, but does anybody have any discussion on what was presented for us?
We, I noticed like in the masks and it said something about the protective clear shield for the jurors. Do we already have those, or is that something that we need to purchase?
Something we need to purchase, and that's one of the items that I had brought up in here is, so basically that the masks were for the jurors as they were being selected. And one of the things that I think is potentially that we would limit in groups that were brought in, so limit the amount of masks necessary, depending on the pool size, that could help us cut down on some of those costs that we'd have to provide, and then provide cleaning and things like that on them. I don't know what those cost, to be honest with you, but it was one of the things that caught my eye as well, is how many of those we would require for that.
And I don't have an estimated cost. But I do think that there are some workarounds. And so I suppose maybe the proposal tonight would be to, I think if we come back at the next council meeting would be, what would that date be? The 24th. That trial scheduled for later that week. So I think that would give us enough time to take any comments that council has on that proposed plan, make some edits and changes if need be, and then have something finalized or approved.
That'd give enough time to, I believe somewhere in here, it talks about providing the guidance to the potential jurors and things like that. That would kind of put that up pretty tight.
Well, I guess the other option would be to approve it subject to changes and put a deadline on those changes, maybe for a week from now or something like that, so that we can still work with council to make those changes and get them in place and promulgated to the community, the potential jury pool.
Couple other items that I saw that could potentially cause us some issues was the recess section. I think that trying to split the jury between two rooms and put communication devices between those could be a substantial hit for the town. One potential idea would be that we would excuse the courtroom and they would just use this room to be able to socially distance and for that period of time. So we didn't have to have that technology equipment. And then the other one that caught my attention was the sidebar to utilize white noise to allow the attorneys to talk. My thought is potentially they could use this room or something to kind of step away so that we don't have to play static on a radio while people are trying to confer. So those were some of the items I recognized in this. Anybody else have thoughts? I think for the most part, I don't think anything is totally outside the norm. I think you're going to need the time to get the information out if we're going to go to trial. So I would like to suggest that maybe we look at approval going back, because none of these sections that we've talked about tonight really are going to hamper that timeline for you. So if we could approve it with work being done on these sections, I think we'd be comfortable. I would with that. So.
And I think that's totally appropriate. We didn't want to put any sort of impose any sort of large costs on the town, particularly given the fact that, this is a really, really rare occurrence. It doesn't make, I think, fiscal sense to spend a lot of money putting this plan into place if we may not even use it this year, haven't used it in decades. I don't think that's an exaggeration to say that it's been over a decade since we've had a jury trial. So,
well, I think this will give us some time. We can investigate what those face shields might be pennies. I don't know. It may not even be, maybe a mute point. So do I have a motion to approve the operating plan for jury trials, having the attorneys go back and work on the personal protective equipment section, the recesses section, and the sidebars section?
Motion it.
I have a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. And we can just do that at the next meeting, I think. Okay. All right, item 7, the engineer's report.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. So, just have a few things to report on the secondary access road project. We've all noticed that it's starting to look like a road up there, so it's a good thing. A few things to report on, I guess. The first thing is we did run into a little bit of an issue when the project first started. On the city of Casper side of the project, on their property where they started, they got into the trip topsoil. They got into an area of shallow groundwater that we did not know was there. And it was actually, they're having trouble getting equipment through it. And then, more so, it was going to be a long-term problem. So we had to come up with a way to fix that. And what we did was we recommended a high-string geosynthetic fabric that went down, and then the fill on top of that. And it's really strengthened up. It's been done good. No problem, but it did involve some additional cost to the project. Mayor Edwards and I discussed it, and we needed to make a decision real quick on getting it going so they can keep going. So I do have before you tonight change order number 1 for the project, and it was, like I said, just for that additional soil stabilization in that area. Total increase was $11,500 to the project. So the original contract price was $644,783.80. And with the $11,500 increase, the new contract price is $656,283.80. So, like I said, it was needed not just to get for the immediate needs of the construction equipment. It we need to stabilize it for long term. So, recommend a motion to have the mayor sign change order number 1 with that construction in the amount of $11,500. As you may recall, the bids were substantially under our estimate, so the funds are there for this additional cost. I think we had a number like about $150,000 contingency funds. suggest a recommendation to the mayor.
Any questions, discussion for the engineer's report? I have a motion to approve the change order number 1 for the secondary access road.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. With that, I will provide a little update. None too early to get the secondary access road in. I have spoken with YDOT recently, and in June, they're going to start working on the detouring for I-25, potentially starting the I-25 project this fall. So, and that will detour I-25 northbound off onto Yellowstone. So having a back door outside of town will be much appreciated. So,
I do have a couple other things.
okay.
So I also have contractor pay estimate number 1 for April. So their pay estimate or pay request for April is $62,581.50, of which we'll withhold 10% for retainage. So that's $6,258.15 that we'll withhold for retainage. The actual amount due to Granite Peak Construction is $56,323.35. So make a recommendation for a motion to pay Granite Peak Construction for the pay estimate number 1.
I have a motion to pay Granite Peak for pay estimate number 1. Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion
Then
passes.
lastly, I have grant draft request number 6. So I recall there are 2 grants for this project. There's one that's a SLIP grant, a state grant. The other one is a Wyoming Business Council grant. So we've been drawing on the SLIP grant first. So tonight I have grant draft request number 1. It includes WLC's invoices as well as Granite Peak Construction's first invoice. So the total of this grant draft request is $81,913.63. That leaves a remaining balance on this grant of $304,071.33, and the Wyoming Business Council grant that we haven't gone into yet is still $500,000. So the funds available for the project. So recommended motion to have the mayor sign and submit grant draft request number 6.
Do I have a motion? Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
That's all I have. Unless you guys have any questions, I think everything's going pretty well up there. We did run into some rocks this week, but we seem to be kind of on the surface of the best, so not causing too much trouble. But it's mostly been a real nice change in dirt, which we anticipated. We have groundwater in one spot, a little bit of rocks in another, but they should be done with the actual dirt work this week. So then we'll start working on the base and fencing and seeding and asphalt. Oh, I guess I should bring up too, I don't know if it's really been mentioned, but the additional monies that we had, the balance between what we had and what the bid was, we're hoping to use what's left to get some additional asphalt in there. So right now what's in the project is just to pay the city Casper portion, which is about the first quarter mile. And so we're hoping to get about another half mile of paving. Yeah, about another quarter mile of paving to have about half of the paving. If funds, unless there's some other major hiccup that comes up, we should have funds available to do about another quarter mile, to have about half of it.
Great.
We'll play that later as we get, further along in the project, and then we'll know for sure.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the engineer's report? Thought so. Do I have a motion to approve the engineer's report? I have a second. All those in favor? All right, motion passes. All right, item 8, public comments. Do you have any public comments? Public comments? No worries.
On the mailbox driveway on Flat Road.
Paul, I think you were looking at giving us some estimates on potential road base in there.
I do have to give you look at your sources that you get information on. Some questions that I'll need to get Chanel on to, as well as concerning homeowners association that you brought to my attention.
We don't have a homeowners association where I am.
Okay, that was one clarification.
At least I don't need to use it.
Yeah, that was just brought to my attention. Yeah, Eagle, the Eagle Estates, right?
Right.
That doesn't have the HOA, the reshot.
This is the HOA, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll get together.
All right.
Okay, then I don't need you.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Do I have any other public comments? Public comments? All right, public comments closed. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn at 7:50. Sir, you have a bewildered look on your face.
Thank you. I knew it was there too. Mechanic. You know, that's also the same weekend as the Mills decided to have.
I do. Yes, I do.
So